Welcome to a very special 1-hour episode of Bookshelf Life, where we sat down with social media star, podcaster, and now New York Times best-selling author Brooke Averick. We read her book, Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It, her debut novel that deals with a main character who's looking for love while also dealing with her own anxiety and OCD. An incredible book that we were all grateful to read. Now take a listen to our interview with Brooke.
Hi.
Well, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for your time today. I know you've been a busy bee.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you. All right, so just dive right in. Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. As an avid rom-com reader, an incredible book.
Thank you. That makes me so happy.
Good. Can you walk me through because you're a consumer of literature, of reading. How did that kind of transgress to becoming an author?
Yes, I'm a consumer. And I think that's exactly how it transgressed because I read so much and had always really wanted to see a main character, especially in romance, that has this type of anxiety that I portrayed in the book. Usually in the books that I read, the women are like super confident and sex positive, which is amazing. And I think we had an era of really needing that type of main character, but it's also definitely hard for me to relate to. And I think a lot of other people who experience this type of anxiety. And so I was kind of just waiting for a book like that to come along for a while. And then eventually I was like, what if I wrote that myself? So here we are.
Incredible. And did you put any of yourself into Phoebe? Because I know teaching early childhood education, Jonathan,
Yeah.
the name that's one of your cats. How much of yourself did you put into Phoebe?
I definitely put a lot of like surface level stuff into Phoebe. So like my interests, like I'm really into Broadway and so is she. And like a lot of the names, like Jonathan is my cat's name and Rob is also my cat's name. So like a lot of that kind of stuff is in the book. I was a teacher, she's a teacher, and my anxiety is pretty much her anxiety. But as far as her personality goes, I think that we're pretty different. Yeah.
And speaking on, I mean, you've been very vocal about your anxiety on different platforms and sharing your experience. How was it putting into a character with similar experiences? Because you also did it in such a great way where you balanced humor with it too. It made it very real. How was that experience for you? Was it cathartic in a way?
Yeah, it was actually really healing because my anxiety is something that I've always judged myself for. And so when I was kind of able to take a step back and like write about it fictionally and like using another character who I loved, I was kind of able to like start to love um these qualities about her that I also see in myself. So it was kind of healing.
Does Phoebe now feel like a friend of yours?
She's like a friend, a sister, like a daughter, me, like she's a lot of like different things at different times.
And then, so for your process, when did you start the ideas of Phoebe Berman and her story?
I think just like the general like character of Phoebe, an anxious romantic, is something that I've been thinking about forever. So there's always been that. And then I also had a note on my phone in my notes app just called book idea that had been sitting there for probably a few years before I actually started writing. And it was just one sentence, but it ends up being like what the like climax in this book is. Um, so I had that for a while. And then when I was approached about writing a book, I was like, oh my God, I actually have this idea and this character that I've been thinking about for a while. So it kind of just worked.
And how was that process? Was there anywhere, like environment wise, that you really felt the creative juices flowing? Did you have any particular snacks that got you really into the mind of being an author?
So I'm like a bed rot worker. Like I tried really hard. I did end up working at a cafe a lot by my house. I bought a desktop computer, which I thought was going to make me really productive, and I've like used it once. But my like the best work that I did was like from my bed in my pajamas. Like that's just like how I am most comfortable. Um, but I'm trying at least for book two to kind of get out there and like do more like cafes and even like bookstores and stuff like that. but I always come back to my bed.
Well, comfortability is so important, especially doing this new thing of writing a novel.
Yeah, totally.
Um, when you were going through this process, was there anyone who you kind of leaned on to be the first person to read a chapter or kind of like give an idea to?
My agents were so hands-on in this experience and so helpful. Any passing thought I had, I was just like so excited about. So I would text them all the time. And they either like would meet things with enthusiasm or ask me a lot of like prompting questions. So they were really, really helpful in the process. I also have a friend who's really critical of everything and doesn't share any of the same interests as me. So I sent her my very first chapter before anyone else. And I was like, what do you think of this? As like somebody who's like, this is so out of her wheelhouse. And she would not hold anything back. And she was like, I actually think you have something here. So that kind of felt great.
It was like the hill that you just had to get over, that one friend.
If she thinks there's something here, then I think there is.
And there was.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then, so speaking of your friends, friendship and this core group of friends that Phoebe had was so important to, I mean, her journey with her own anxiety and then also just kind of her growth and acceptance. Was friendship kind of a core value that you knew from the beginning that you wanted to really hone in on?
Yes. I have always felt like so behind in different aspects of my life, but friendship for me has never been like one of those things. And it's always been such a constant in my life and such a source of love. And so I really wanted to show that there can be like so many different types of love stories besides just the romantic ones, and they can mean just as much.
Have you had any people from your life read the book and be like, oh, I can see myself in some of the characters in Phoebe's life?
Oh, for sure. There's one character, one of Phoebe's friends, Alex, who is like pretty much based off of one of my real life friends. So it was really fun to watch him read because I did steal some of his like exact quotes that he's said. So that was fun.
Well, I feel like the sign of an author is to take real life experiences and then to just put it into a book and share it with
Yeah,
everyone else.
totally. No, everyone has been saying like, wow, like so much of her life is reflected in this. But I think that's the case for most debut authors, their debut books. It just so happens that everyone knows so much about my life already, which is not the case with everyone.
How has that been too? I mean, outside of being an author, I mean, your life is so online and you're so vocal. How is that kind of navigating this new title of being an author and this new role in your life as well?
I think it's great. It's been great. I've love already having like an existing fan base that I get to share this with, and we have so many like inside jokes that we've developed over the years. And so putting some of those in the book as kind of like a nod to the people who have been here the whole time has been really fun, and I've been loving watching people discover those. So that's been great. And I also love like people who have no idea who I am. Like some of the most rewarding reviews I've gotten have started with like, I had no idea who this girl was. So I've loved it.
How has that feedback been? I mean, people who don't know you, reading your work and then sharing their thoughts. How has that been for you as a creator?
It's been really validating to see Phoebe kind of go beyond the space that I've already existed in. And I've really loved seeing how many people relate to her story and her anxieties, because when I first started writing, I was worried that it was like a niche type of anxiety. But now I'm learning like, even if people don't experience like her specific fears, like they've all experienced these kinds of thought spirals and worries and feelings of being behind. So it's been really great to see.
And I have to ask, as a fellow Broadway theater kid, seeing the Grease representation, I felt so seen as being a kid who, at too young of an age, watched Grease every day. Are you an avid Grease lover?
Grease was like my first taste of musicals. And I think there was a part of Grease that served as kind of like a little bit of a sexual awakening of sorts. And so that's kind of a theme in the book as Phoebe kind of comes into her sexuality, Grease is there for her.
Do you have any other shows that you're like, this is my baby, this will always be on repeat on my playlist?
Like Broadway shows?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, tons. I would say, at least when I was writing Phoebe, Hamilton was a big one. Rent was a big one, and Wicked. Yeah. And then Mean Girls and Legally Blonde were also there, kind of in the corner.
It depends on the mood because I feel like Legally Blonde is a little more dancey,
That was like
upbeat.
when Phoebe was like girl bossing. Yeah.
Yes, very valid. And I loved that. I mean, just like the attention to detail, Matthew's playlist that he made for Phoebe, the exact time that her flight was, and then watching her kind of process, what do I feel about this? What are his intentions? It was just so incredible to see because I feel like so many people go through that same thought process and
So
spiraling moment.
yeah. No, he's a sweetheart, and he definitely like really, really cared about her, which I loved, like her trying to avoid that at all costs. Yeah.
And then when it what's something that you wish that you knew when you were starting this process that you may know now but want to share with maybe other debut authors?
I like I don't know, whenever I wish I knew that I could always like change stuff, because I used to get really stuck. Like if I had a part of the story that was already written and like something just wasn't working, I would try really hard to like force it to work. And then like sometimes it would just hit me like, oh, I can delete that part and like restructure it completely. So I would just get really stuck, and I wish I knew that like there's always the backspace is always there.
What was your mode of writing? Was it mostly computer? Did you take some notes on your phone?
Yeah. It was mostly computer. And then like when I was not with my computer, I have like a million random notes that make no sense, of just like a line of dialogue, or like um I have a note that just says like barf bag, because like I was like, that would be so great if she collected those. So just like random ideas I would have at random times that make no
That's
sense. Make it I.
but they made sense when they were all put together. Were there any inspirations that you leaned on, books that you have read that you kind of wanted to emulate the feelings that it made you feel, or authors that you really were inspired you to do this?
I definitely was trying to like emulate the feeling of an early 2000s rom-com. So I watched a lot of those movies to kind of get myself in the mood. And I think like Phoebe to me kind of reads like a movie, or at least like I wrote it with like seeing everything in my head as scenes. Um, so that was really my big inspiration, was more of just like a vibe. And then I guess the biggest inspiration was like not having a Phoebe. So like taking like a space that I saw and wanting to fill it. But I did use a lot of I read a lot of romance books and used a lot of the like male main characters in those books, and just kind of like picked what I liked from each of them and sprinkled them across my three boys.
What were some of your go-to 2000s rom-com movies that you kept going back to?
My favorite is 13 Going on 30. And I think that's such a Phoebe coded one, because in so many ways, Phoebe is a 13-year-old stuck in a 30-year-old's body, in a different way than the movie. But like, I still think they would be like genuine friends, her and Jenna Ring.
And without spoiling anything, there was a lot of growth with a lot of characters, a lot of relationships in Phoebe's life throughout the book. And I think a big one too was her family relationship and dynamic. I think that moment at the wedding with her father was such like a core thing that really stuck out to me. So we talked about friendship. What was your idea of wanting to emulate family and what that means to Phoebe throughout the book?
Family was just another thing like Phoebe's friends that I wanted to be like a really strong constant in her life, because it's such a source of love for her. She has two really great supportive parents. She's a great relationship with her sister. Um, and yet she's still just focused on like the one piece of love she doesn't have. So I just wanted to show that like, hey, like look how much love also exists outside of the romance space. And I think towards the end, she finally kind of got that part before any of the romance fell into place.
And you've kind of touched on it throughout our conversation, but when someone picks up Phoebe's story and reads it, what do you hope they walk away with after finishing?
I hope that everybody sees a little bit of themselves in Phoebe and learns to be gentle with themselves and learns that there's nothing like inherently wrong with you. And there's no reason that we should be setting any of these like benchmarks for ourselves. Like our lives don't end at 30 or any age that we decide it does.
And I have to ask, what's your relationship with checklists?
So before I started writing Phoebe, like I'm very, very type B. Like I've never kept a planner. I've never been able to finish a journal. It's only now that I've been influenced by Phoebe do I keep a journal and a planner. So she has kind of rubbed off on me in that way, which I've loved. Like now I love my planner and I keep a lot of lists in it.
And I've noticed, I mean, Cherries, the book cover, incredible. It's so beautiful.
So good.
It's so fun. And then cherries have been kind of a theme throughout your tour, sharing
Yeah.
your book. Where, I mean, I kind of feel like maybe I know where, but where did that idea come from of leaning into more of the cherry and red?
So the first time I saw a design option for Phoebe with a cherry on the cover, I was like, why is there a cherry on the cover? I don't get it. And then they had to explain to me, it's like, oh, like losing your virginity, like popping your cherry, which I did. I like completely went over my head. And then at first I was like, oh no, I don't like that at all. Like that's like not like what this book is about, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw another cover and it was a different kind of cherry. The first cherry I saw was kind of like animated and sexy.
Mm.
And then the cherry that we have now is very like artsy and classy. And I was like, oh wait, I actually like love the cherries and I had to eat my words. Um, and we just lucked out that cherries happen to be like really trendy right now. So we've
Everyone.
incorporating the motif all throughout tour and people have been dressing in red and cherries and it's been so cute.
And it's very 2000s coded.
Yes.
It
Totally.
really is. I took the cover off and then I saw stunning.
That's so beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I haven't seen a book like that in ages. It's just fun.
It is. I love it.
Did you have fun with this process? I know it can be kind of daunting. I mean, new, there are probably bouts of writer's block. Did you have a good time writing Phoebe's story?
I had the best time. Like I just have nothing bad to say about the entire process. Truly. It was just a dream. And it felt like it had been like ready to come out for a while. So it was nice to get it out.
And was there kind of a moment that, because you said it started a while ago, the idea of this, was there a moment that really clicked that you were like, okay, now is the time to do this?
I had just been speaking like openly on my podcast about like wanting to write a book for like years and years. And then agents reached out to me and were like, you if you want, you can give it a try. And then I think that's all I needed was just that little bit of permission. Like I thought like I needed to go back to school or like get an MFA or something. Like I just didn't think I was qualified. So that like very little push was what I needed.
Is there any aspect of your life that you still find like your teaching early childhood education coming back to you? Is there still a part of you that will always kind of be that teacher?
I think there is the part of me that will always just like love kids and think they're like so important and truly like teaching is the most important job. There's not necessarily a part of me that wants to go back. But I definitely miss like Teacher Brooke. Like she was a fun one. Not no, she wasn't fun, but she was a good person.
Yeah. And then when you're reading, what makes you choose a book off the shelf to read? Like, are you a judge a book by the cover kind of person?
I love a fun cover. Like I'm not about those books that are kind of just like text on a blank canvas. Like give me like everything you can. Like I want to know the essence of the book from the cover.
Do you have a favorite book right now or a few favorites that you recommend?
I every time someone asks me this, it's like I've never read a book in my life, but I'm a big fan of The Love Hypothesis. I think that's just like such a feet kicking one. And that was the first like contemporary romance that I think I was like, whoa, this is awesome.
Is that by
Um,
Hazelwood?
it's Allie Hazelwood, yeah. And I'm a big Sarah J. Maas girl. I just read Crescent City, which I actually loved and had been putting off for a really long time. So if you're in that space too, just go for it.
Did you start with ACOTAR by Sarah J.
I
Maas?
started with ACOTAR and then did Throne of Glass and then waited like 2 years to start Crescent City.
Okay. Are you on Book Talk? I feel like my TikTok for about 6 months was just ACOTAR related.
I was on Book Talk a lot more than I am now. Now I feel like it's just the people that I like engage with and follow that and they happen to be on Book Talk that I get. But I used to be like when I was reading ACOTAR, like that's when I was on Book Talk. I feel like your phone just knows.
It's listening all the time.
Yeah.
And then I feel like so much of things nowadays and promoting things is so social media based and getting out there and turning content, things like that. How have you found navigating that while, I mean, because you've been so busy going everywhere and doing all of the things, while also keeping that aspect alive to go to so many different audiences?
Yeah. Something that I noticed is I went on like so many podcasts and did so many fun like opportunities that I completely like forgot that I also have a platform. So unfortunately, I did neglect my own platform, which I'm trying to come back to now. But I did have a lot of fun connecting with like a lot of different audiences, which is not something that I've ever really done.
That is has you have you visited a place that's kind of stuck out to you so far that you didn't think that you would love as much as you did?
Maybe the Empire State Building. I thought I was scared of heights, which I like am, but it's like so crazy to be there that you kind of forget for a second.
Sometimes because of the social media aspect of it, I feel like the Empire State Building is an actual person.
Yes. It's like, or like a historical figure for sure.
100%. And then when it comes to book tropes, do you have a favorite that you kind of lean into?
Yes, I love enemies to lovers. And within that, I love when there's only one bed at the inn.
Yep, that is a good one. And then is there a book that you recommend that everyone should read at least once?
I like, I keep coming back to The Fault in Our Stars because that's mentioned in Phoebe as like kind of being like the book that she loved and what got her to love romance. And I think it's definitely one of mine. And I think it's just such a beautiful story. And I think like we need to bring YA back a little bit.
I could not agree more. I feel like I gravitate towards that to any bookstore or any library.
Yeah.
And then how has this, I mean, have you had time to just kind of um digest everything that's happened since the book came out and since everything has been happening and just kind of revel in it?
Not yet. Um, which I also have like the worst imposter syndrome, so I don't think I would let myself even if I did have a moment, but luckily I haven't had a moment. It might hit me at like it'll probably hit me at a super inconvenient time. So, we'll see.
And how has it been to see so many places filled with people coming out to support you and hear what you have to say about your book?
I mean, it's just like wild because usually I'm behind a camera and all of the numbers, like the views and likes and whatever, like they're just numbers and I'm horrible at math. So numbers, like there's no difference to me between 300 people and 30,000 people. Like it's all just a blob. So seeing rooms full of people, it's like, what are you guys, what are you here to see? Like, what are you doing? So it's been really wild. Again, I don't think it is sunk in that everyone is there to see me and listen to me talk about Phoebe. So part of me
And
hopes
then
it never does because I love just being like, what?
well, I mean, it's very humble of you to say that. I mean, it is such a crazy experience. I'm assuming that, I mean, it just feels like it's not real.
Yeah, it definitely does not feel real.
And then I heard you mention, another book. Are you working on something else?
Yes. So Phoebe was a 2-book deal. And so there will definitely be another book in the same universe as Phoebe. Not a direct sequel, but you'll probably see some characters that you recognize.
That's really exciting. Have you already started?
Kind of. Yeah.
With all your
It's
free time?
very early stages. Very early stages. But there is an idea there.
That's really exciting. Well, congratulations. And we're coming to the event tonight at the Jeffersonian. So
Oh,
we
good.
can't wait to hear what all the questions and all of that. We have friends from all over Louisville who are coming, so everyone's really looking forward to it.
I'm so excited. This is my first time here, so I'm really excited to leave the hotel and see what do you say? How do you say it? Louisville?
Louisville.
Louisville. I'm really excited to see what Louisville is all about.
So what we teach people is you have to say it like you have a mouthful of mashed potatoes.
Okay, Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah.
Louisville. Okay.
Yes. Well, I mean, welcome and thank you so much for your time today. It's been such an honor to meet you and just talk about your incredible work.
Thank you so much.
Anything else that you want to say or speak on that I didn't ask?
No, I don't think so. I think you got everything.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brooke. It was so lovely to meet you, and we'll see you tonight.
See you tonight.
Has anything crazy happened? I've had some really interesting Uber drivers. Yeah, there was one I had in Chicago the other night. I was driving out from the city to the suburbs, so it was a long drive, and he, the whole hour long drive there, he was like, when we get there, I'm going to get out of the car and open your door. Do not open your own door. And he would like remind me of that every 10 minutes. He'd be like, miss, the second we get there, I don't want you to open the door. So then we get there and my sweet editor Lori opened the door and he was like, just like, you could tell, like he had been, yeah, but he was like, it was fine. Like I'm blessed that Lori opened the door because I was kind of dreading that moment for the lot of build up. It was so much build up, and it was just like, I don't think I even want that. Yeah. So
like, am I a door?
Yeah.
I'm a door open kind of girl.
Yeah. It was making me anxious. So I'm glad Lori got there first. And as far as tour goes, I feel bad because everyone that I've met has been so lovely, but they've also been like, we're sorry to bother you. We know you don't want to be here, and we know you're so tired, and we're so sorry. And it's like, I'm sorry that I made it seem like I didn't want to be here. Like, I'm so happy to be here. I'm sorry that my anxiety kind of eclipsed that message. But like, I really am totally fine. I've had a lot of time to nap. I've been traveling to a different city every morning, and I get in around like noon, and then I have a good chunk of time to rest. And Friends is always on in the hotel. I've been blessed with that, and I feel awake. Feel more awake than I have in a while. Yeah, so it's actually been like pretty energizing in a way. I do think when tour's over, like I'll be in bed for a month, but that's fine.
You talk about the concept of your mom being like, or everyone, your collective mothers, being like, you can't shave above the knee. Mm-hmm. And this was such like, this jolted me back because I was like, why was this such a big deal?
I'm so glad that everyone is connecting with that because I was worried it was just my mom.
No, it was such like, she was like, it's going to be a different type of hair.
It's different hair.
And I've always been waiting for that different hair
to
happen. And
no, it's the same hair.
Yeah, so how many of you, show of hands, did your mom tell you this? Is this like,
Yeah.
Who told them this originally? Was it like an Oprah thing?
I don't know, but I also like had I just started shaving my legs in 3rd grade.
Yes.
And I had really hairy thighs too. And so it just looked really weird.
Okay, have you always wanted to be a writer? Or is, like, did the story just like hit you and you were like at its mercy?
Yes, but in the same way that like I wanted to marry Zac Efron, like it was like a fantasy that like it didn't even feel attainable to dream about. Like it just felt so far away that I don't think I let myself think about it as like an attainable dream. So I would just like fantasize about being a famous author, but like not. I didn't really like do anything that could have brought me here until I started writing Phoebe. Yeah.
And that happened. So now
yeah.
Zac Efron is looking.
I'm like getting kind of close.
I feel like it could happen.
I think I could definitely meet him soon. Yeah, and we'll see what happens from there.
Do you have any actors in mind to play? Is it Zac Efron for every one of them?
No, it's actually not.
Okay.
Like some of my like big crushes have kind of like aged out of the role. So I'm almost thinking like, what if we just did 40-year-old version again? And like that way my crushes can be the men. But assuming we're sticking to 30. For Phoebe, I would love it to be an unknown. Because I've been loving the unknowns that we've gotten to know recently, like Heated Rivalry, and I mean off campus I guess they were kind of known, but not as much. You know, I love the fresh faces. I think that and I think we need that. And the men, I have been thinking of David Cornsweet for Jonathan. And you know, I went to middle school with him. Yeah. My mom can attest to that. We were in the play together, and all of the moms were like, that David is going somewhere. Yeah, he was. So that was amazing. And he has no idea who I am, like at all. Maybe. And then Hudson Williams for Finn. Yeah. And Joe Keery for Matthew. Yeah. Thank you.
So if you got to be cast in the movie, which I'm hoping happens, who would you choose to play?
I texted someone this today.
Oh.
There's a quick scene at Phoebe's at a wedding, and there's a waitress there that her aunt is trying to set her up with, and they have a moment together, and I would like to play the waitress.
So perfect. This is a later question, but I mean, obviously, as an anxiety girly, that was one of my absolute favorite things about the book was how honestly you portrayed it and therapy, the whole experience, but joyfully too. Obviously, there's a lot of struggle and anxiety and OCD, but there is so much joy in it and so many superpowers that kind of come out of it.
Yeah.
So I really loved how even in the moments where if you're not familiar with anxiety or any of the conditions that she's talking about, you explained it in such a nice bite-sized way that never felt like overwhelming. I think it was very like accessible and approachable for anyone who's maybe new to mental health rep. And I don't know, I just thought you did such a great job.
That's so kind, and it means a lot because I have OCD, but like I didn't understand what that meant for a while, and it went undiagnosed for a long time because people think about it like compulsive behaviors and ordering things, which like I'm such a slob, so it's like how could I have OCD? But I learned later in life that like my thought patterns are what make me have OCD, and so I think I really wanted to not raise awareness is like a crazy term, but like kind of just like show that it looks different. Yeah.
Okay, let's get to some of the reader questions. Olivia Brown, when writing Phoebe, when did you realize that the main character wasn't yourself? Obviously, you share similar qualities, but at what point were you like, okay, yep, this lady is not me. She is a friend of mine.
That's a good question. I think mostly just like her personality is extremely different than mine. When I started with her kind of hyper organized tendencies, that's when I was like, yeah, this is not me. And that was really fun to play with because she reacts to her. We have very similar anxiety, but she reacts so differently. Like I get anxious and I completely shut down. I could spend the entire day in bed just like completely overwhelmed. And she, like that's her worst nightmare. Like she needs to act, she needs to make a list, she needs to organize. And I think I've always been like a type A person living in a type B person's body. Like that makes so much sense to me, to like want to do that, to have some sort of sense of control. And like it's what I would want to be able to do deep down, but like for whatever reason, I'm just completely paralyzed. So it was really nice to live with her coping mechanisms for a bit.
Have you picked up any of hers?
Yes. I now have a planner and a journal because of her. I've never kept a planner successfully until now. I'm going 6 months strong on my Hobonichi.
Me too. We're the exact same amount.
Do you have a Hobonichi?
No.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I have like an off-brand.
Oh, no, it's totally fine.
But it has like the little like inserts, you know?
Yes.
It's like the Violet Factory.
Love, totally. So yeah, I'm going 6 months of my Hobonichi, and I've been really consistent with journaling.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't journal still.
It's hard.
It is hard.
And you have to give yourself grace because usually like when I like missed an entire month, I'd be like, well, that's that. But you have to kind of reframe it as like, okay, that is like part of the journal. Like that's showing you that like this month was really busy or like this month you had nothing to say. So like I have to reframe it as like that month is not my excuse to stop writing. It's just reflective of the time period in my life.
Yeah, because I
Access all
have a very
TikTok.
all or nothing mentality when it comes
Yeah,
to
me
it.
too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Hannah D. Other than Phoebe, obviously, what have you been obsessed with recently?
Great question. I mean, off campus really got me.
Me too.
It got me, and I didn't read the books.
No, me neither.
I didn't read the books. I've slipped into off campus, and really, I've gone a little bit deeper. The guy who plays John Logan, Antonio Cipriano, was in this musical called called In Pieces, and he sings this song called Bloom, and that specifically is my obsession. The song Bloom. It's going to be #1 on my Spotify Wrapped. It's like, and the whole musical I'm about to. It's available for rent, so I'm going to watch that sometime here shortly. I'm kind of just like putting it off because sometimes I put off things that I'm like really excited about, so I always have something to look forward to. So I'm gonna rent that here sometime soon, and it seems amazing. But that one song, Bloom, like everyone has gotta listen to that, and it's so Phoebe coded. I wish I could tell you there's an exact moment where I hear that song play, and I can't tell you, but you will know when you know.
So we all have homework now.
Yeah, listen to
There's
Bloom.
gonna be like a huge boost in streams all of a sudden. You're like, where did this come from?
It's the best song I've ever heard.
Are there any hidden Mickeys in the book that allude to real life events?
Yeah, there's tons. With Phoebe in her classroom, there's a scene where the kids are like stuffing pillows under their shirts and pretending to be pregnant. And that was an issue that my co-teacher and I were dealing with a lot. Because, you know, kids learn through play and you're supposed to really let them kind of act out like whatever their heart desires. But it was getting to the point where it was like they were like going into labor and like, it was like how far do we let this go? And so it was like a real struggle in the classroom. And so I kind of included that in the book and Phoebe kind of processing what to do with that. And there's one moment, I use the phrase, thank you for letting me know a lot. Like whenever I don't know what to say, I just like, thank you for letting me know. And so Phoebe does that in a moment where she doesn't know what to say. And I mean the names of the characters, like 2 of them, Jonathan and Matthew, were placeholders for, I have celebrity crushes named Jonathan and Matthew. And then Finn.
She also has a cat named John.
And yes, it's all
So that
related.
goes really deep.
It's all, yeah, and I have a cat named Rob too. There's Teacher Rob,
Yeah.
so it's all And then Finn is a Glee character who also I had a crush on. But there was a lot more Glee characters that I was like, you can't do this. But originally there was a Rachel and a Blaine, and now they're Nora and Alex. But
We'll
yeah.
always know now.
Yeah.
The real ones will know.
Yeah, and like my brother's name is Noah. There's a character named Noah. There was a character named Gabby, which is my sister's name. She got killed off. But book 2, I'm gonna try to bring a Gabby in there. Yeah.
I don't ever name characters after people, and now I'm going to.
Well, I'm like,
So that's so fun.
I feel like strongly about wanting people to know that Phoebe and I are different, and yet I really did a lot to make that almost impossible. Like that and narrating the audiobook, I'm like, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, which is, by the way, amazing.
Thank you.
And that was like so good.
That's so nice.
Is that really hard to do?
It was, yeah, because it was a lot of acting,
Yeah.
which I'm not good at. So I had to get into character, but I had a producer kind of write in a adjacent room, kind of telling me exactly what to do, how to get into character, and she knew the book so well, so she was so helpful. She was like really good at telling me exactly like what a character is experiencing in this moment and how my voice should reflect that. So she was great.
Was it your idea to narrate?
No, I was kind of just sitting back and hoping that someone would ask me, but also trusting that like if they were gonna ask, yeah. But also just kind of trusting the process. So when they asked me, I was like, yay! I would love to. Yeah.
Like, I'm actually free.
Yeah, I am actually free.
Yeah.
So, but I did talk really fast. So, like some of you some.
Well, I'm one of those people that like puts my audio.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah,
So,
exactly.
Okay. All right, Mackenzie M. What's a piece of media, movie, show, album, anything that has zero obvious connection to this book, but that you think that actually shaped it in a weird, indirect way? Are you following this?
Yes.
Okay.
I was watching 13 Going on 30 the other night, and like my dream was that this would feel like an early 2000s rom-com.
Oh yeah, it does.
And so, because that's just my favorite thing. And I was watching 13 Going on 30, and kind of like, I didn't realize how similar Phoebe and Jenna Rink are, because Jenna is actually a 13-year-old girl stuck in a 30-year-old's body, and so is Phoebe in a lot of ways. So I love that, drawing that comparison, and I think that that movie's a good comp to Phoebe in a way.
Okay, oh, I love these. Jenny S. Thank you for asking my favorite question. Kiss, Marry, Kill. Anthony Bridgerton, Shane Hollander, and John Logan.
So just to be clear, I'm going just with the characters and not the actors. Is that what you want? Okay. So Anthony Bridgerton, Shane Hollander, and John Logan. I will have to. So am I like, is Shane gay? Whatever. Yeah, I guess. What do I
your
care,
question?
honestly, yeah. So I will have to marry. It's just at the point in my life that I'm in right now. I'll have to marry John Logan, just from where I'm sitting right now. And
This is void in 24 hours, so.
I mean, like, I would kiss. I mean, like, Shane would be miserable, and I wouldn't want to do that to him. So, and the last thing I'd want to do is kill him. So I'm just gonna place him to the side, and then wait, yeah, and I'm kissing Anthony, yeah. But now let's do the actors now. So that would be Jonathan Bailey, Hudson Williams, and Antonio. I can't do that one.
What about out of your guys?
I have, like, then Jonathan and Matthew? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I have it, but I don't want to spoil.
Okay,
But I do have an answer.
Okay, that's fair. That's
And I
fair.
think everyone will have the same. No, actually, I don't know.
Okay. We have 5 minutes. Did the character of Phoebe come to mind really easily? Says Ellie Lynn.
Good question, Ellie Lynn. Yes, because in the same way that I was kind of sitting on that like notes app note, I was also sitting on like just really wanting a character with anxiety in a romance. Like, I love romance, but it is definitely harder for me to relate to a lot of the main characters just because I'm so not confident in that space. And so I had always wanted someone who felt the same way and was like very scared of like the one thing that they wanted the most. And so I was just kind of waiting for someone to write that. And then when I was approached and asked, would you ever think about writing a book? I was like, oh wait, and I actually have someone I've been thinking of, and that was Phoebe. So, yeah.
What's your favorite, sorry, this isn't a reader question.
That's fine.
What's your favorite little quality of Phoebe?
My favorite quality of Phoebe. I mean, I would love to hear yours.
She made me so horny for a laminator.
I do, I love the organization, and that's something that I've taken from her. I love I don't know if this will make sense, but there was a guy in my kindergarten class who was so precious about the objects that he collected, and he had this shoebox of random treasures. And I was just I want a shoebox of treasures. But when I tried to make the treasures, it just didn't hit the same. I was these aren't treasures. This is just random crap. And this guy had treasures. He had a robin's egg from the playground and a Lego and I just feel Phoebe has treasures. She has a lot, everything in her tote and her books and her shirts, and she's very intentional about the stuff that she keeps. Whereas I just I shit everywhere. So I think I really admire that about her, and just I don't know,
Love that answer. That's so perfect.
it's weird, but I do feel that way.
I agree with
And I just love the girl. Yeah,
She's so sweet. So cute.
yeah, she's a cute person.
Love her. And you guys are gonna love her too, and that feels like the perfect place to wrap it up.
I have my own little thing before I hand the microphone back over to Erica. So we really appreciate you all coming tonight. And we're going to send you home with a little piece of Louisville. Louisville. I just have to say, you have a bunch of marshmallows in your mouth.
Yes, that's what I've heard, or mashed potatoes. Yeah. A slugger. Thank you so much. Oh, my name is on it. Oh my God, thank you so much. This is amazing. I'm gonna put this on my bookshelf. And now I have a treasure.